side, I am the fish butcher. So I'll take any of the whole product that we get in from our fishermen and make it ready to eat. We specialize in local San Diego seafood, and we want to serve it in a fun, fresh way with modern as well as more traditional techniques. Our chef is really great at taking something simple and just making it pop. So being the only fish butcher here and wanting to give the chef as much time as he can to monitor the rest of the restaurant, I might have one fish to cut, or I might have 20, 30, up to 1,000 pounds of fish to cut in one day. My day-to-day is totally different. I'll walk in, see what we have on hand, what's used first, what we got to go through now, and then from there I might just decide today I only have 10 portions that I need to do to keep us to counts. We don't want to go too high to ensure that all of our product is fresh and we're not above what we're going to need for the day. But sometimes if we're getting 400 to 600 pounds of fish in one day, if the weather's going to be bad, a lot of times we have to be in communication with our fishermen to know how much fish we should bring in now to make sure that we still have food for later. So those days I might be cutting an opa down to loins, 2 tuna, a swordfish, and 100 pounds of halibut all in one day. Ironside is totally unpredictable. We might have to prepare for any situation. I came to San Diego from Chicago 3 years ago after graduating from Kendall College of Culinary Arts. I started working on the line and learning kind of the basics of restaurant world before I snuck into kind of a butchery apprenticeship with our past chef as well as our current chef, Kyle, and learned as much as I could from the chefs that I was around to really get to the core part of seafood, which I think is butchery. It's the first and the main part of getting to know the fish. That way you can see, okay, this part of the fillet works great for this dish and maybe not so much for this. And that way I get to get kind of a full circle perspective. My butchery style, I would say, is kind of a hybrid of all the people who've taught me great things and just what I've learned through doing it. I've learned that if I'm comfortable with something, that's when I'm probably going to get the best end result. If I feel uncomfortable, I'll move my body, I'll move my knife, I'll move the fish to work for me. You know, work smarter, not harder is the saying that everybody says. It's no different for butchery. I do like to try creative things that I'll see somebody does something with a mackerel. I want to know if I can do that with a yellowtail. You know, why, if it's small, why can't you do it with something that's big too? And I think Ironside's a great place that they totally support doing funky things, trying new approaches, and often me and the other chefs or cooks will sit around and just brainstorm and try new things. For me, it's just growth. I'm still in that sponge stage. I'm still learning. I'm still developing my style, so I don't want to restrict myself. The way that I break down a yellowtail is I'll cut the head off from the very back tip where the top loin will end in a diagonal behind the fin and collar down to the belly. I'll cut it completely off before I remove the collar from the head. Then I will make a cut from the side of the fish's face where the gills are all the way down and cut through that bone in the skull. Flip it over and then make the next cut on that head so that I can release the collar. Cutting on this angle will give us a real meaty collar. That way we can feature it instead of hiding it and use this meaty collar as its own dish. I kind of like the ritual of Japanese knives, keeping them sharp, and it just becomes almost a spiritual process. I think safety-wise, if your knife is wet or your hand is wet, take the time to stop and dry it, don't slip. If you are getting fatigued, take a second, have some water. I'll usually take that time to go over my counts, maybe organize something in the walk-in, come back, start again. As long as it's on ice, take your time. If I'm rushing, that's when I'm more likely to nick myself. So even if you're in a time crunch, remember it takes more time to stop and bandage up a cut. So slow down, take your time. It's better for you and the fish. Once you get into it, you can just zone out and you're in fish cutting mode. Hours will go by, you blink and you've got a file full of perfectly wrapped fish loins and a walk-in full of portioned fish.
My cooking style is definitely comforting, rustic, something my grandma will cook. Southern style biscuit from Pillsbury's are perfect as a substitution for cakes, in this case, a strawberry shortcake. I made macerated strawberries, slicing some fresh strawberries, mixing it with sugar, a little bit of vanilla, and then I did a chantilly cream. I've used the strawberries and the southern style together as a perfect combo that has the little tang from the fruit and from the biscuits. I started my corn chowder by mixing leeks, onions, shallots with a little bit of butter, sauteing the veggies, added fresh sweet corn to it, let it cook down. I made a dark roux and added to the veggies to make my chowder nice and rich. I took a southern style biscuit from Pillsbury, straight from the freezer to cook. The biscuits were a perfect pairing for the chowder because it's such a classic combination, having chewy and warm biscuits combined with a rich corn chowder. For the ham salad sandwich, I used tomatoes, onions, lemon juice, a little bit of mayo, Dijon mustard, and chopped ham. I took the cheddar and garlic biscuits from Pillsbury, straight from the freezer, and after baked, they looked exactly like handmade. I love this sandwich because it's a great contrast between a warm biscuit and a cold salad, super refreshing and super easy to make. So I made a spread using creme fraiche, chives, and everything bagel seasoning. I spread it over pre-baked golden buttermilk biscuit from Pillsbury that were nice and warm out of the oven. And then I placed the lox on top of it and topped with a little bit more of the spread. So buttermilk and lox go super well together. Their flavors complement each other. It's a great way of pairing with salmon. Fried chicken and golden buttermilk biscuit from Pillsbury are made for each other. So I breaded the chicken with a mixture of panko and breadcrumbs and seasoned the chicken with hot sauce, paprika, garlic powder, and some Old Bay. I deep fried the chicken until it was perfectly crispy and paired this with the golden buttermilk biscuit. The easy split is super convenient, have a rich buttermilk taste, and they're just like homemade.